So the first thing you want to make sure you have done is go ahead and put the title on there, put the page number, and X your paper. Again, we skip lines so that we can make revisions and edits later on. Alright, today we are learning about how to write a counterclaim paragraph, including a rebuttal. So the first thing you want to find is your argument organizer. It should be glued inside your journal. And we're going to turn to the page that talks about body paragraph number 4. So body paragraph number 4 has 4 parts. We're going to add a part in here called explain the support, and I drew an arrow to showing which support it's going to be explaining. Go ahead and number them. As you can see, we're only going to have 5 sentences in this paragraph, so make sure you have this handy. And the first thing we start off with is a transition word and a counterclaim. So find your handout that says intermediate level, naming your naysayers and opponents. You're going to need to figure out who are the people that are going to talk against you. For my example, I'm doing online education, online learning, and my biggest counterclaimer, my biggest naysayers, my biggest opponent groups are going to be probably teachers that have been teaching for a long time. I'm going to call them veteran teachers. So I'm going to pick one of these top stems or fill in the blanks, whatever you want to call them, and the second blank is going to be your claim. So I'm going to put a C on the second blank of each one so I don't forget. It's your claim. It's my claim. So this is what I would say. Now I'm going to put the naysayers, just the name of the group, in the first blank on these fill in the blanks. So I'm going to pick one of these and I'm going to go with the second one because that's the one that makes the most sense to me. So of course, and then I'm going to put my naysayers on there, my main group of people that are going against me. So you're going to see I'm going to indent, of course, and then I want to put down those people. So veteran teachers. Now I'm going to change it up a little bit, and anytime I give you sentence stems or fill in the blanks like this, you can always change them up a little bit as long as you still follow the general idea of the requirements. So I'm going to say, of course, veteran teachers may take issue with the argument that, now remember, no I's, no me's, no my, no us, no we. Okay, we're writing in third person, so keep all those first person words out. So instead of putting my here, you're just going to put the, with the argument. That, and then this is where I write my claim. That online learning is an essential component. Again, I'm going to reword it from my introduction and from my previous paragraphs. I'm rewording it every time. I don't look at it when I write it down again. I know it. I know what my claim is, and so if I don't look, I can always end up putting it in different terms. So online learning is an essential component in today's educational experience. So if you notice, I have my naysayers written down, and then I also have my claim. That's the first sentence. Those two things must be in the first sentence. It's saying that these people have a problem with this claim. That's what that first sentence is talking about. Okay, the second sentence is going to be an explanation of the counterclaim. It's explaining why they think that, or what they actually think, or what they're going to argue about. So they, and again, I'm going to circle the first word of every sentence so I don't repeat myself. They may argue. Now, this is thinking from their perspective. What are they going to say against me? So they may argue that learning in a classroom in a traditional brick and mortar school is the best and only way students learn. Now this is what the opposite of my claim is going to be. This is what those naysayers are going to say against me. They're going to argue that learning in a classroom, in a regular traditional classroom, is the best and only way students learn. Now we come to our acknowledging of the opposition as well as our rebuttal. And both of those things go into this sentence. Okay? So this is just a general idea. That is a valid point. However, but if you take a look at your handout again, the bottom half of your handout has making a concession. They have a point, but it's the same thing. I recommend using one of the two bottom ones because they are slightly easier to fill in the blanks with. I'm going to use number 2 because I like that one. And I'm going to say, while it is true that, now this is where we acknowledge the opposition. This is where we actually acknowledge what they are saying is, it could be true. It's okay to say that. It's a valid point. They have the right to say that. So, while it is true that traditional classrooms have their advantages, there's my acknowledgement of the opposition. I do my comma, now I do my rebuttal. Okay? Now I'm going to say they do not offer, and this is going to be different than one of my other 3 reasons that I've already written in my body paragraphs. This is a different one. This is focusing on this paragraph. Okay, it's focusing on what those naysayers are going to say and then going against them, kind of giving them your comeback. Okay? They do not offer the exposure to technology that students need. Again, this is kind of like my my other reason. This is kind of like a 4th reason. Okay? In order to become competitive members of the workforce. So listen to how this sentence sounds. This is my number 3. This is my rebuttal and my however. While it is true that traditional classrooms have their advantages, they do not offer the exposure to technology that students need in order to become competitive members of the workforce. So you see how it acknowledges the opposition and then it gives my rebuttal. The next thing we need to do is we're going to open a quotation and you're going to go to your research and look for some piece of research that supports this rebuttal. So I'm going to be looking for a piece of evidence, a piece of research that explains how traditional classrooms do not offer the exposure to technology that students need. Okay, so I'm going through my research looking for a piece of something I can quote that supports that mini claim that I just made. And I found something. And it says that things in the business world are changing rapidly. They're changing so rapidly that schools aren't keeping up with the technology. The demand and the knowledge base. Now I'm going to close my quotation, but I'm not going to put a period because I need to do my citation. Alright, so I'm going to open up a parenthesis. This time I do have an author's last name, so if you have an author's last name, this is where you put it. If you do not have an author's last name, you put the organization right here. So procon.org, possibly healthresearchfunding.org, whatever it is you used here. If you've got an author's last name, you put the author's last name. And the copyright date, close parenthesis, period. You see how this quotation supports and explains and gives further proof that yes, we need these because they give the kids exposure to the technology. Okay, the very last thing, I just need one simple sentence to explain how this quote supports that idea. And I'm going to say that online learning, just reinforcing what I've been saying all along, online learning provides the opportunity for students to become familiar with and fluent in the technology required by many employers in today's world. And that's it. Let me read you everything so you can hear exactly how it should sound when you finish. Of course, veteran teachers may take issue with the argument that online learning is an essential component in today's educational experience. They may argue learning in a classroom is in a traditional brick-and-mortar school is the best and only way students learn. While it is true that traditional classrooms have their advantages, they do not offer the exposure to technology that students need in order to become competitive members of the workforce. Things in the business world are changing rapidly, so schools aren't keeping up with the technology, the demand, and the knowledge base. Online learning provides the opportunity for students to become familiar with and fluent in the technology required by many employers in today's world. So,